Well, hello, 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 hello. 1, 2, mic check. I know it's working, but so I'm real close. So, but how are you? I'm at home. It's kind of drizzly, raining, cool outside, and here I am making a video. So, um, I guess most recently, what there is to speak about is a distinct kind of commitment that was made. And it definitely is a relationship. But in addition to being a relationship, I think, well, I know that something very spiritual happened, like, spirit world style, but in a way that I'd never experienced before. It's like I try to tune in and pay attention to what's happening. And like I guess you could kind of say in the world, but it's more like in the spirit. And I think there's like a car club going by, mini car club. But yeah, it's like I've just been, I guess, shown or become aware of, shown and then become aware of. Like I was shown and educated about some things by my everything, but also my spiritual mentor. And it's just wild when there are like perspectives introduced to you that are so like concrete and real, but that you never like experienced. And I won't go into like too many details, but I want to like go into like some kind of like detail because I think it's really exciting. um I like the end result, because I didn't see it coming. Oh, there's the 50 is outside. Can you see the lights on my face? No, I don't think so. I don't think they reach in here. Um, there's a fire station, no, a police station near where I'm at right now. So, you already see like cops that are like first on the beat, but homeboy is just chilling. Like he has his lights on at a red light, so it's not like he's in hot pursuit. So, but another one of my favorite shows is Live PD. I know, like sometimes I have it on in the background. Sometimes I just pay attention to it, but I like Live PD a lot. Um, but okay, so being introduced to these things, the end result I'm really liking, because I guess in like a real, and I'm going to sound vague sometimes because you know some things are just private until they're not. And but I guess sometimes within a relationship, like certain um examples of what your true intention is, like have to be reached for it to reach, I guess, whatever you want to call like its maximum potential. But I don't think that there's like a maximum, because I don't think that something like love is like ending. It's like a never ending thing. I was even thinking about marriage vows. Like, this is gonna go like kind of like off topic, but maybe like in a constructive way. And I have like eczema on my hand, so like just ignore that. um I've been eating a lot of noodles and I'm allergic, but I love noodles. So what can you really do? Am I really gonna just stop eating noodles? That it's like there's no alternative. There's no alternative. So, anyway, so I was thinking about marriage vows, at least here in the United States, right? Um, because I'm guessing it's pretty obvious I'm American by my accent. So, not that I'm trying to be so covert, but sometimes I go covert just because it's like, I think in my blood to go covert, like, I don't know where that. It's like definitely an exercise of a past life for sure, but like covert is just my reflex. Don't give away the info. I don't know why not though, because sometimes I'm just so open with info. I'm like, like why not? So I was thinking about marriage vows, and I think there's a distinct like difference between a spiritual marriage and like a law marriage. Like law marriages here in the United States, even though like a priest or a minister or whoever comes into the, place and, does the ceremony, most of it is just paperwork, like because there are a lot of marriages that go through that aren't ordained by God at all. And it's like, that's cool and everything. It's like you had you tried your best, but I've experienced a distinct difference between these two things. And one thing that really became like evident is like the wording. Like just felt the need to adjust my hair. But yeah, the wording. Like it'll be like one of the words, like one of the phrases is like till death do us part, but that's like not even true, because like there doesn't need to be a parting after death. I mean, I guess, I don't know, whoever out there is like, all right, time's up, now we can go our separate ways, but that is not me. It's like till death, till transition, till after death, to the spirit world, chill in the ethers, like I want no part in any kind of separation, like at all, so, but a lot of things are just set up just so they could be able to be documented by the IRS properly, able to be, cleanly separated as far as like possessions when people decide to go their separate ways. A lot of, who's gonna have say to what, it becomes very political, when it comes to like men making up the rules as far as like what deems a divorce, like sometimes you want a divorce and it's just about affording one, and I can understand like the parts that you would want the court involved with as far as like kids are concerned, because sometimes you're just dealing with like a bird brain nutcase that is just full of shit, and you kind of like need somebody to come in and like, put the strong arm down. And sometimes at least part of that is in form of a judge who can just say, you do this and you do this. And that's, to me, a beautiful thing, because then there don't have to be any more words at all. If you fuck up, we go to court. If I fuck up, we go to court. Equal playing ground. Doesn't have to be much more as far as negotiations. That's what I want. But it all boils down to money, you can talk to all the lawyers in the world and they'll all tell you the same thing. Even name changes, to file, some states do not recognize, like when you file for separation. I live in one of those states where it is not legally recognized when you file to be separated. Like there is no paperwork that you can fill out and say, hey, I want to be legally separated. Because I can't afford the divorce. And okay, I don't want this last name anymore, but it costs just as much to change your name as it does to get a divorce, like literally. And you can't really just go by whatever name you want, because if you have anything like student loans, things like that, especially, they don't recognize it. Because believe me, I've tried. And I had the IRS say, hey, who are you? And it's like, fuck, man, like, can't shake this shit. And, then it just becomes like mildly complicated. So, but, everything happens in good timing. But I know that, like, when you have like my faith in the spirit world and my involvement in the spirit world and my participation, my acknowledging myself as a citizen of the spirit world has evolved greatly over the years, and so like I used to put a lot of weight on certain things that were like of man, like paperwork and all that kind of stuff. But then I got to a point where I was like, it's the system, man, like, and part of the system I'm cool with, and part of the system I just want to be like, fuck the system. Because I think stuff is starting to fall apart, like, all of these world leaders rubbing elbows with each other, and they're all like in court for corruption and shit. And you see it in Africa and whatever, like on a like big, like, like obvious kind of way. But now you're seeing it in other countries that were better at hiding it, And I think the difference between like a continent, like, a group of countries like Africa and other countries that like work together is like infrastructure and, the development of like companies and corporations and things like that. So it just makes it easier to hide, easier to cover up with other things. Whereas when I've spoken to people from Africa, like I spoke with this one guy, he was an Uber driver, and I don't know what happened. He was like, he was telling me he was from Nigeria, and he was telling me about how people there had to retire by a certain age, and you're forced to, because he was saying something like he was a certain age, but he was able to work in the United States. And I was like, oh, well, in Nigeria. And he's like, no, it's like you have to retire. And then I was like, well, I guess by, that time you just have to start your own like company. And he was like, no, it's like too hard to start your own company because it's really hard to like get oil into the, area. And basically it all came down to like a one corrupt official. And he was like, imagine people like starving to death in the streets, and you have one person who has like a row of like luxury cars like Lambos and Ferraris, and everybody else is just fighting. And I was like, at that point you just have to have a revolt, because I mean, come on, that's bootleg. And he was like, people are too hungry to fight. And it just sounded like a shitty situation. Other places, they don't have it quite like that. That's that infrastructure thing. And I think like a history, like, of not being like super ancient. Because I feel like when you're super ancient, like some countries have adapted like really well. Other countries, I mean, this could be like a cultural thing. It could be an ethics or moral thing. Not a, a non-adapt, not, not adaptation savvy, like basically not being adaptable, like not adapting easily. But the combination of like ancient and modern doesn't seem to go well. Like, I don't think it's going too well in Africa, because the same guy was telling me, when cats get desperate, they go to the witch doctor. And, it just went to some of that bullshit when it came to the witch doctor. Like, cats are cutting each other up, taking body parts, like he mentioned, like breasts and testicles and penises and stuff, and they take the chopped up parts and give it to the witch doctor. And he's Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, aka Christian. But Christians in the United States are off their fucking rockers nowadays, because you have a lot of cats thumping Bibles, but they are some of the like most bootleg ass motherfuckers ever. Like, so that term, you know, when it comes to people from other countries, it's like cool, but here in the United States, like, don't take someone who calls himself a Christian at face value, because I mean, shit, Trump's over here calling himself Christian. And my brother, you were on some bullshit. So, but yeah, he was talking about, like, you know, the same Uber driver guy, you know, he was like, you know, people go to the witch doctor and, you know, they make these deals or whatever. I see something nasty pulling up to the light. I can't tell because I don't have my glasses on, but I could tell that the hood looks low and flat, and the headlights seem very far apart. And you know that's something like a Ferrari. I can't tell though, but it looked good. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so he was saying, like, some cats, you know, they do this thing where they have like corn to give to a chicken, and how many like kernels the chicken picks up is how many years the person who's done this witchcrafty thing has left to live. And so you want to see the chicken pick up like a whole bunch of kernels, because if he picks up like 2, you have like 2 years, bro. So like, that's that modern and ancient shit, because there's a lot of cats who practice witchcraft, and that is some bullshit, I will tell you right now. And that junk is all over Hollywood, it's all over some of the Caribbean. One nation in particular just keeps on riding that bullshit wagon, and it's just like, no, we are not scared. I mean, if you're out there just floating, that's one thing. But when you believe in Jesus Christ and you're like, you know, anti that kind of stuff, you're not at risk. But when you are over here like doing shit, like witchcrafty shit to people, then you're opening up that kind of thing to come to you. You know, like if you're over here practicing that voodoo, then you're open to it coming to you, you know. But if someone's over here trying to put voodoo on you and all these kind of spells, like, if you have faith in God, like, that will help you overcome it, you know. But recognizing it and fighting it yourself is like a very effective, you know, technique. Because I remember, like, once I went to like the libraries, and I was looking up things that had to do with like meditation and, you know, things associated with that. And I went to like 3 or 4 different libraries over the course of like a year or two, looking for books, you know, at different times. And what I found is, when I got to the section, like, you know, that these books were supposed to be on the shelf in the library, it would be like books on witchcraft and astrology. And I'm like, okay, so one of these days, like, you know, after like the 3rd time, I was just like, man, let me see what this witchcraft book looks like. And it was a book that went over like pagan and Wiccan and witchcrafty things, and, you know, it gave examples of the practitioners and what they did. It was like an encyclopedia on witchcraft and voodoo. And that sounds like all like, ooh, scary, but I wasn't looking at it to like learn anything, and it wasn't definitely not like a book of spells or something you open and like the pentagram illuminates and, you know, it's on like doom doom doom. Like, it wasn't anything like that. It was pretty cut and dry, you know. And it was really interesting. And after that, like, it helped me like recognize voodoo more and witchcraft. And there's just a lot of people who are practicing that shit. Like, I met a girl, and she introduced herself to somebody else, like another, you know, female friend I had, like, at the time. Well, still now, but we were like in this like certain area at this like agency, and like the girl, like, you know, later introduced herself as a witch to the, you know, the girl I knew. I wasn't really surprised, because I had met witches before, like, and you have a lot of people out here that are calling themselves like good witches and all this kind of stupid shit. And it's like, you guys are so fucking dumb. Like, You think you're gonna just fish from this pond and it's like something like esoteric, and you don't think that there's like an ending to that equation. You think that it's just like me plus some stones and some spells equals happy times. You think that shit is just like all good? Like, whatever, I don't even care. Like, just keep on paddling that canoe down that, you know, river, that path. Keep on trucking down that thing. I don't care. I just don't have any room for it. Like, I just don't care. So, but, ancient times, sometimes people just, claw onto these things. And especially it happens, I don't know where it happens. I would say that it happens when people have, like, are in poverty or don't have a lot of money. But that's not the case. Like, that's not the case at all. Like, what I found is that cats that do this kind of thing are usually some like self-worshipping people. Like, they think that they are like numero uno. They put themselves on like the biggest, highest pedestal ever. No accountability, no recollection of doing wrong to people, and they just keep on going down that path. And you know, I was reading, like, in the Bible that, at one time, like, God made like 1/4 of the earth like evil. And I used to think, like, if people would be like this, the earth would be like that, and it'd be like all good. And then I realized, like, the infrastructure of the earth wasn't designed for like good times, by all. Like, part of, like, what you're signing up for when you come to this place is having to deal with the fuckery, you know? I mean, and so that put things in perspective. It really helped me realize how some cats can make decisions to intentionally be fucking with people and lying and just stealing and all kinds of shit, just on purpose. And they used to blow my mind. Like, some things I'm totally like, I can understand. I'm not talking about like, stuff that cats like deem as like, oh, that's just wrong. I'm talking about corrupt ass motherfuckers who are fundamentally foul in their hearts and just think that they're getting away with stuff. It's no bueno. That just that time is over. So, I was dealing with that here, like, I had to tell somebody off, like, your past sins aren't my responsibility. Your, guilt and shame isn't my responsibility to carry. They were speaking lies to me about, no, they were speaking lies about me to other people. And usually I would just like bite my tongue about it. But then I just reached this breaking point of like, no, I have to call that out as what it is, and it's a lie. And I was like, you are a liar. All you do is lie. You never tell the full story about what you do to people. I've never once heard it come out of your mouth, what you've done to people. Why people treat you the way that you do. The way that they do. Why I treat you the way that, I treat you. I'm like, I don't like having to wear like headphones all day, every day. But do you think that it's my responsibility to let you verbally assault me and bash me every single day for hours? I've seen that before. We're talking about my mom here. Saw her do that to my dad for years. I told her yesterday, I was like, for the first half, he was a nutcase. And for the second half, you were. And I was like, now I'm seeing you do that nonsense again. Lying. She would say like all kinds of stuff about me. And, I had to like, straddle the line. Like, I would not straddle, but I would like flip-flop between the line. Like, the line of giving any kind of energy to a complete narcissist who is starved for attention and that will do anything to try to get a rise out of people. And, using energy that I know that's going to be met with, literally. And you're crazy and rustling, stuff like plastic bags to make noise so I can't be heard. And, all kinds of like childish obscenely childish behavior. But it got to a point where I was like, no, can't stop. And what happened was public shame. What happened was like the phone call started. And while the phone call was happening and the lies were being said, I had to like say loud enough in the background, like, that's a lie. I'm not going to let you lie about me anymore. That's just not true. And you never tell the full story about your role in anything. And then the person got on, on the phone again, and I had to do the same thing again. And finally, she was quiet, and I just, spilt everything out that needed to be said. Stuff like nasty old family secrets, and I was like, it's funny when I mention X, Y, and Z, you just become quiet. I was like, it's funny. I was like, you have something to say about like everything else on the face of the planet. And most of the time it's a big lie. But when I talk about these things, all of a sudden you become silent. And it's happened before, And at that point, she was just pinned down, And I really appreciate that. Because more so than having to like, correct this person, because I think that they are way beyond correction, they had to be delivered the truth through the speaking of words, like praying and meditational type things, like spiritual, like like delivering of messages, like, and a lot of times cats know what's going on, and you could tell like in their heads, like they just know what's going on and they know the truth and they know the full story, but what comes out of their mouth is like completely different. And that's like totally a snare of like the devil, of like, why words just shouldn't be granted to everybody on this earth, like at all, because you have cats that lie as like a tool, and they'll seem convincing, like, and you just really know, and you'll kind of be like not questioning yourself, because after a certain point it just becomes obvious, but you almost feel like not saying anything at all, and you just like wind up praying for judgment, like righteous judgment, to like fall on their head, because their soul is just disgusting, and that's the only way really to put it. But I was thankful for the opportunity to cleanse my own spirit of, needing that kind of, I guess, method of delivery, because like it was kind of like weighing on me, because I do have something like in my soul that's like, that's just not right. I just can't, and other stuff is just like, open to interpretation, has deeper meanings, but some shit's just fundamentally foul. And with this, it was just fundamentally foul. Like saying I was, calling me fat, saying that I said that she was trying to starve me, saying I was getting chauffeured by her, that I slept all day and did nothing and have no job. I mean, I have a job. I'm in graduate school up to my neck in work. Like, I ride with her to the grocery store, to places that she's already going. I pay for all of her groceries. Like, what was it else? What else was it? She would say that I'm being rude to her because I'm wearing headphones. And I'm like, but why am I wearing headphones? Because you'll badger me like all day, calling me fat. Like, is that what we're at right now? Like, it's bitches who have no man who do stuff like that. Like, and it just got to a point where I was just like, dude, like, you could say whatever you want, but I'm not going to sit here and, tolerate this. Like, I've seen this person call everybody around her crazy. Everybody at her job is crazy. Everybody in the place that she lives, she calls crazy. I've seen her sit on the elevator and press buttons to other floors on purpose just so it slows down the elevator for other people. And she lives in a senior housing facility. She blocks people from being able to come onto the elevator. I've seen people go through intersections and she's like, I hope they would die. Like, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. And it's like this all day, every day. She has a handicapped sister. And she calls her stupid, calls her clothes rags, talks about like how lazy she is for hours to her every day. And this is the person who's like trying to like sit here in my face and use that as a weapon. That's when it was just like, okay, I'll cooperate now and just say what I need to say, you know, and overcome like the fear of whatever retaliation. Because I also had to, you know, let her know like, God sees everything that you're doing. I was like, there's no amount of like, you know, Joel Osteen or whatever that dude that looks like CeeLo's cousin can preach to you, you know, that can make up like, and I was like, that thing about Satan in you, I was just like, you know, I rebuke that from coming near me anymore. Like, that's your responsibility. That's your burden. But when you want to flip-flop between, like, I'm going to do some witchcrafty, like, you know, she does all kinds of witchcrafty shit, like put pins and shit, like near, like, places that I have to go. Like pins, for no reason, inside, like, you know, a curtain that I need to push back to get to my things. You know, just a bare, like, exposed pin. What is that? Eating all my food. Like stealing my food. The same food, you know, that I'm like, I would share that with you, but stealing it behind my back. I went to go use onions. They're all gone. Tomatoes, they're all gone. I had some like granola bars that I had to like booby trap her with. And then when she got to it, like, and she verbally got angry and that turned into her like exploding on me. And I was just like, this is crazy. This is just nothing but crazy. But what happens with people who are like that, there's a certain thing that happens to the Satanism, to the evil spirits that are in them when you physically speak words. It's like she's pretty much gone and the spirit of Satan is taking over her. That's just clear. And you know, I've spoken with, you know, the same girl, you know, we're both like, you know, of a certain giftage, right? And she recognized the same thing in her dad. You know, homeboy lost both his legs, lost both his arms, and was, you know, like she said, a stump in a wheelchair, still barking out orders, judging people, and basically like telling people that they needed to find God, like, and his track record was just, you know, not no bueno, not cool. And but the thing is, she's explained a lot of things, like what happens when people just get overcome and, you know, they're basically at the end of their life, or they're at this place where like God has turned their back on them, you know. And it's like exactly what's going on here. So my thing for this place hasn't been really to, there's been a lot of like lessons and like challenges, but things that I've learned and that have helped us grow. But I think one of the things that I've learned is that there's something that God has been wanting me to do as far as verbally letting go and addressing like all of the wrongdoings before like I just scoot on and just get on with my life, you know. But overall things are good. Like, you know, there's just a lot when it comes to somebody who seems like it's them, but really it's like Satan working through them. And that's not supposed to be like some scary or like some, you know, out there biblical thing. Like, you know, It's like they say this, we're not, fighting against flesh and blood. It's a spiritual kind of warfare. And especially with somebody who knows that and practices, for the other side. It's just bizarre. I've seen such bizarre behavior that it's like, and that's another thing that got put into my line of sight, is like seeing that these things even exist. Because I wouldn't have ever guessed that something like this existed. Like, to me, this is way out there. And cats that just decide to like fuck with people, like pressing buttons on a elevator and coming home from having taught kids. She'll be calling her kids like all kinds of, names. A teacher. This person was a teacher. Like, and coming home and calling her, saying that her kids were niggers and faggots and stuff like that. And then calling the school crazy for getting fired at every school that she ever got hired at. Everybody else is crazy. You know? And I'm not laughing at someone, like losing a job, but we're talking about that kind of mentality. And what really came to my brain, like my mind, was like this person really believes himself. Like, I used to think that it was just like a really like elaborate scheme, like really holding on to like the lie, and like, don't let them see you sweat and fake it, until they go away kind of thing. But this person really has exalted themselves to like a status that is way beyond anything that they have come close to even being able to be allowed to think about. Like, they had an opportunity to like make good on their life over and over. I've seen it. But there's still this like haughty, self-serving self-worship. And you pair that with like basically the devil like whispering in your mind, like, yeah, you're great, this is gonna work, just keep on doing this. I mean, that's literally what I feel like is being told to her, because it just goes into this realm of like, dude, like, you're in this supposed like area of like happy brainwashing, and it's just like, it's not the jump off, man. Like, but you don't even see it. But that's cool. Like, I don't have a dog in that fight. It's not my business. I'm so disconnected, like, and I'm so happy to have that lifted from my spirit. I'm so happy to have cut the soul tie, to break the bondage, to be released. I'm so happy and thankful for everything, like the whole process. So, but on a different note, I wouldn't say a happier one, because even though that sounds all like mental and stuff, it's like necessary. Like some of the spiritual stuff like that is like necessary to like learn about and to fight against, because I wasn't put on this earth to be in bondage to anybody. And bondage is like, forced slavery. Like, I'm not here for that. That's not my role at all, not to this, that. Mm-mm. No, no, sir. So, but on another note, I do have some fun things planned for the day. I did my makeup. I hope that I look cute, cuter. I don't know. I want to do some things that look like awesome, but I don't know if it's like the tools or the technique, but I'm working on it. So right now we're working with colors for me to learn what colors look good on my skin and which ones don't. So, but and I have some native earrings on. This is like a skirt, like at powwows and like dancing, the women wear skirts that have little beads sewn on, so when you like catch the beat and you're like walking in the rhythm or you're dancing, like the beads make a sound. It's a real pretty sound. So these were like a bonus order, like a bonus pair that were added to my order by my homegirl that I met online. So but anyway, so I'm gonna like eat and game, like to play some games. do some reading, play some online poker, which is so fun. So fun. I'm not so good yet because I think I like lose control like easily. I start getting like real spendthrift, like, well, let's go all in. Why not? And I'm seeing how that works. But I don't know like the strategy. Like I don't understand like when to go all in and when like not to go all in, and when you have like two cards at the beginning and someone is like, like plopping like a whole bunch of dough down, and it's like, how do you even judge that? Is like, is it just like, roulette at that point? Like, or is there like a strategy? And I surely haven't gotten to a point where like I really understand, like, I don't know if it's counting cards or just like weighing what the chances are of things happening. Like if I have like two hearts and then like the first three cards drawn are like, one heart or two, and then I don't really know how to judge that, especially against other people, and there's like the whole mental part, and I don't know. And I really don't even know what like the suits, not the suits, but like what is a winning hand, because like sometimes I'll have like an ace and then a queen, like a two, and then like a king, queen, and a jack or something like that, but I won't win. So I'm like, okay, does it not roll over? Like, do you have to have like a king down to like, going lower? Or does ace count as one? Are there different kinds of poker that, an ace counts as one of the face cards? Or, and I didn't really like look into it. I really felt like, I was going to catch on and see it, come up and be able to like observe enough and to be able to learn all the rules. But it hasn't really happened that way because I found that I've gotten duped more times, and I've like more times than I thought I would. I'll be like, yeah, it's gonna be a winning hand, this is gonna be cool, but it's like, no, and I lose, and I'm like, other times, like I've won and I've done well. Right now I'm in this point of like earning like back, like, for the app that I have, they give you a certain amount of chips if you play every day, and I surely do play every day. They give you free chips for each day, right? So, and I was at like 10,000 chips, and you can buy like, like a million for like $4 or something, but I just can't. It's like principle. But I will say, like, and I'm back in the earning mode because I'm trying to get back. Like, I dropped below like 2,000 chips. I actually got to like 700 and something. So now I'm working my way back up, and I've never really been in like this, like, let me make money and hold on to it. I've been like, okay, well, I've won this much, so I can like, woo, go off. And then I got really low, and it was just like, whoa, I gotta make a U-turn, man. So, but I do want to play with actual money because it'd be really cool to like win money, but I want to see if I have the same mentality as I do when I'm playing with like virtual chips. Like, I've been to casinos and stuff, but I've never sat down at like a table and played. I've played like, this is me being corny, but I've only played like the penny slot machines and like quarters and stuff, maybe $1. I've never played like a $10 slot machine, just like a $10 scratch off or something like that, like with the lotto. I've always told myself that I'm going to play the lotto more, and I did for a while, and that was fun. But, so I want to get like, I want to be a regular. So one of these days I'd like to go to the casino and play with actual money and see what's up. Or at least, sit and watch how it goes. So, but that's going to be my day. Yeah, it looks like the sun is setting. I was looking at my skin and I'm like, am I yellow? But then I realized the light is like yellow. I don't know if it's like yellow light about to storm or yellow light sunset, because it's way early to be a sunset situation. But anyway, I think I'm gonna go and cook something and just mellow out for the rest of the day. But yeah, so I will talk to you soon. I'm liking this camera proximity. So, but anyway, take care and bye. I'll talk to you next time.